Hello, everyone. This is Katie Novotny calling in from Premier Marketing. I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. October is a busy month in the insurance world. Of course, we have the start of open enrollment. We have critical illness month and just a lot of moving parts getting into the year end. Today, we wanted to discuss critical illness along with the fact that it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. With that, we thought there was no better time to discuss the opportunities in this industry. Today, we are thrilled to have Jeff McClendon with Assurity to discuss the opportunity and some marketing ideas in the critical illness world. With that, Jeff, you ready to take it away?
I am ready, Katie. Thank you so much. Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today to talk a little bit about critical illness, but most importantly, about Critical Illness Awareness Month. The entire month of October, you're going to be seeing content out there about critical illness. As Katie mentioned, being Breast Cancer Awareness Month as well, we just thought it was a perfect time to kind of come together and share with you some insights. So with that, the agenda for today is we're going to talk about opportunities in today's market. I want to hopefully help you out with some questions to ask your clients to kind of get the conversation started. We'll dig into the product a little bit, the features and fact finders, tools to help you sell. Underwriting is something that I'm going to touch on because it's super important. And I think Assurity does some things pretty special around here. And then finally, some tips for closing the sale. So with that, opportunities in today's market. And Katie, what I would like to throw out to the group is, how does double-digit sales growth sound to you all? Because that's exactly what the market is telling us. Matter of fact, Gen Re is projecting that critical illness sales are going to go up by about 22% again this year, next year. I mean, we're seeing that annual growth. So it's a product. Critical illness is a product that is getting a lot more attention. And there's good reason for that. 53% of Americans have a high deductible healthcare plan, just like myself. And yet only 25% of those folks, Katie, have an HSA. Even folks that have HSA, you have to look at how much money they're putting into that HSA on an annual basis, right? Something that I unfortunately see frequently, and I'm sure you do as well, for those of you that are on social media, we see all these GoFundMe posts, where somebody's sick, somebody is out of money, they need medical care. Over $650 million a year raised through GoFundMe, and about $250,000 are directly related to medical fundraising. The unfortunate part of that, though, is only 1 in 10 of them actually meet their medical fundraising goal. And so it's kind of eye-opening when you consider there's more and more people today that are struggling to make ends meet when they are impacted by a major medical issue, major medical condition. So let's talk about some questions to ask your client. Again, going into Critical Illness Awareness Month here in open enrollment, that means that we're going to be talking about healthcare costs. Coverage is going to be top of mind for your clients over the next few months. So when you're talking to them about their insurance, one question that I like to ask is, when was the last time you felt you had control over your healthcare options? We all know what the response is going to be. I don't. The rising cost of healthcare insurance, healthcare insurance is getting super expensive, so I don't feel like I have control. And then obviously that bottom one that we just talked about, when was the last time you saw a post about somebody that, something happened to them, Katie, and they're struggling to make ends meet, and, out of the kindness of your heart, would you be willing to donate some money? There's a product out there that can actually help these folks. I am a huge fan of this product because I have used it personally, and I want to kind of dig into our critical illness product. So the key features of this are, it is one product that is available for amounts from $5,000 all the way up to $500,000. Issue ages do go all the way up to age 70. And I want to make a very important point here, Katie, and that is, there's a number of critical illness products out there in the industry. Where Assurity kind of stands apart from everybody else is, we have a very robust product that is intended to be there for the life of the insured. A lot of critical illness will terminate if you activate a trigger, or at age 65 at the age of retirement. With Assurity's critical illness, it is intended to be there for the life of the client. So we do issue all the way up to age 70 with 11 covered conditions. And that last one, Katie, you and I have had this conversation a number of times. We've built in return of premium. So if a client has a critical illness policy and they pass away for some other reason that is not a covered condition under critical illness, we're going to refund all the premium back to their beneficiary. And that's why we ask for the beneficiary on the application. So a very robust and very well thought out product that Assurity has to offer. I want to look at a scenario here real quick. Sarah is a 41-year-old married. She's got 2 school-age daughters, making a good income there. And of course, she does have that high deductible health care plan. Where I like to dig in with these customers is, finding out what their maximum out-of-pocket expense is. It's going to vary, of course, by person, but generally speaking, somewhere in that $5,000 to $20,000 range is typically what I've seen. So always make a note of what that maximum out-of-pocket is for your client, and then how much are they putting into their HSA on a monthly basis or biweekly basis? Because what we're looking for is that gap. God forbid something bad happened, and cancer, heart attack, stroke. How much, would you have to pay out of pocket for your care? Number 2, we like to look at replacement funds. When I had my medical event, Katie, I was out of work for a bit. And thankfully, I've got wonderful insurance here through Assurity. But if I didn't, and I wasn't getting my paycheck every 2 weeks, I would want to consider replacement funds as part of my critical illness planning. I think it just makes sense. So you would want to look at their monthly income, ideally around 3 months, their expenses, their loans and such, and get an idea of what that cost would be on a monthly basis. And then we just do some simple math here. So in this scenario, we're going to recommend $35,000 of coverage at a minimum for Sarah. And that $35,000 of coverage is only going to cost a little over $31 a month. So when you do an apples to apples comparison and say your out of pocket if something happens would be this, but I can protect you with critical illness for $32 a month. By the way, if you wanted to add return a premium to it, which means that if you decided to terminate your coverage, Assurity would return your premium back. You can add that return a premium rider and still be, under $45 a month for some very, very robust coverage. That last box down there at the bottom just kind of gives you an idea of what Sarah would have to save on a monthly basis in order to be able to cover that out-of-pocket expense. So again, kind of the way that we look at it, the way that I approach critical illness sales, what's your out-of-pocket expense through your healthcare? How much are you putting into? How much do you have for your HSA? And then what are your bills? How much are your monthly bills? Because let's assume that we're going to need to cover at least a couple months of that. In addition, we do have some tools here, Katie, to help you sell, starting off with the social media kit. Going into Critical Illness Awareness Month here, social media is very, very important. It's a great way of connecting with our clients. And you notice that website down there at the bottom, we have criticaloutlook.com, a great, great resource that's not only going to have new content for you on a regular basis, so it's going to have new data about impairments, new data about the industry and such, but it's also a great resource for our marketing material. I am very blessed that Assurity has a phenomenal platform that allows you to quote, go directly into an electronic application, and get an instant decision for up to $75,000 of coverage. This all occurs very, very quick. So it's a wonderful platform that just makes it easy when you're sitting down with or talking to your customer to be able to quote them, go directly into an e-app and get that instant decision. Underwriting. Things that we do very well around here as it pertains to underwriting is we like to make the process, as I mentioned, as simple and easy as possible. So having the quote to e-app feature with instant decision is one thing, but when you're talking about the underwriting process, we're talking about no exams. So up to 75,000, we're just basically asking your client questions. We're pulling data behind the scenes from all the major, data vendors out there, and we're underwriting based off of that data. We have a long history in the critical illness space of very successful underwriting. And what that means to you and I is that we're going to be approving more of your customers that you bring to us. So does your client have past health conditions? And I do get this question quite frequently. And it's inevitable, right? Somebody leaves the hospital, they just got diagnosed with cancer or had a heart attack, and immediately they want to start talking about insurance. Typically speaking, that would disqualify them from getting any critical illness insurance, except with Assurity. One of the things that we can do is we can remove some of the triggers that would allow us to be able to approve the case. So if you brought a client to us that maybe had a cancer history, cancer being one of the triggers within our critical illness, we would be able to remove that, still issue the case, still approve the case, and send it out with a reduced premium. So it would be a critical illness policy with 10 triggers that would work the same way. And I love that because we do see a decent number of clients with pre-existing conditions that typically would not qualify. Benefit amounts over 75,000 are fully underwritten. We do see cases in that $350,000 to $400,000, $450,000 range. So typically that's going to be more of your executives, more of your high income earners that are looking for ways of using insurance products to fill those financial gaps. So your high income earners, critical illness is another wonderful solution for them. Those that may not necessarily be worried about covering out of pocket, with deductibles and such. We do go all the way up to 500,000. So let's wrap up here by talking about some tips to closing the sale. There's always objections, right? We come across these, have clients that ask us questions. Maybe they're a little hesitant. And I think this is probably one of the most important ones is, hey, I'm healthy. This isn't going to happen to me, or I'm not really worried about that. And I thought that as well. But at age 47, my life changed a little bit. So again, critical illness being near and dear to me, when you look at the data today, and I'm sure you've all seen in the news, the number of people that are passing away due to heart attacks, having strokes, specifically at much younger ages today. So here's some questions that you could ask them. Do you know someone that has been diagnosed with cancer, heart attack, or stroke? I'm sure that we all do if we're on social media or online in any way or in any fashion. And we really want to talk about that emotional and financial impact that it had on them. And again, critical illness being the ultimate solution. Attaching value to critical illness funds. When I'm approaching clients, when I'm talking to advisors out there in the field, Katie, about critical illness, one of the things that I always highlight is this is a tax-free cash benefit that is paid out to your customer in the event of one of these horrible things happening, right? And I love that because they may not need it to pay medical bills, right? When you start talking to them about stories about critical illness, about customers that you have that have been, that have gone through this, you can use this money to do home repairs, take your family on a vacation. So it's that tax-free cash benefit that gives your clients more freedom, especially in their time of need when things aren't necessarily going their way. And I love that about critical illness. So last but not least, let's wrap it up. I am a firm believer in telling a story. At 47 years old, I had a heart attack that changed my life. So share that with you. Share your personal story or a story from a friend. Share statistics, which is why I wanted to direct you out to that website, because there is some really good data out there that'll help you with your conversation with your clients. Make it personal, as I mentioned, and be confident. Know that Assurity is a company that is very passionate about the critical illness space, about protecting families, and making sure that we can all survive financially when life throws us a curveball. So with that, Katie, I am going to hand it back to you, and let's see if we have any questions.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Jeff. I really appreciate it. I think that there's so much opportunity, and this is really one of those products that is overlooked often. And this is really why I wanted to take the time and discuss this. I did ask a couple agents regarding questions that they may have. And the first one was, can you discuss target audiences or prospecting for such a product?
Yeah, absolutely. So, all of your current customers, right? You may have life insurance, you may have investments on these customers, health insurance, whatever it may be. So, your current customers are obviously a great base for this. But really, when you consider the prevalence of high deductible healthcare plans out there, Katie, a good majority of the general public is going to be perfect fits for this, as well as, and as I mentioned, we can do up to 500,000. Some of those executives, those higher income earners that are looking to fill that gap, maybe they have maxed out on the amount of disability insurance that they can get. And we see that occasionally, 20 grand a month is the maximum that Assurity will do. I really like to add a critical illness policy on top of that, Katie, to help fill that additional gap if they need more than 20,000 a month in DI coverage. Because when you think about it, critical illness in 11 triggers is going to pay out when one of those things happens, right? It's going to be cancer or something like that that's going to cause the disability. So I really like it in that upper end, more affluent market as well.
Perfect. Another one is, what is normal to expect for underwriting and talking to their clients once they take an application? Can you walk us through the process?
Absolutely. So that the website that I showed you that we had the quote to application to instant decision, this entire process, we're talking about like 10 to 15 minutes. It is an intelligent and reflexive system, Katie. So you're sitting down with a customer, or you're on the phone with the customer, quote them, we agree on, coverage amount and the premium, go directly into the e-app. The e-app is reflexive, so it's going to ask you questions as the agent about your client based off of data that we're pulling behind the scenes. This all happens really quick. 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to get your instant decision. And I'll share this with you that we are doing about 80 to 82% of our critical illness cases that come in are getting that instant decision. The other ones are typically those that have to go into more detailed underwriting because of the amount or because of the impairments. So to answer your question, we could actually get bound coverage digitally, electronically, and have e-policy delivery, have that client, the policy e-delivered to the agent and client. We're talking about a few days, Katie. So you think about a process that typically is going to take weeks or months because it always involves medical records, APSs, labs, and exam. We've kind of perfected, being able to underwrite based off of data and turn the process into a really quick one. So you had another question?
I did. So one of the other questions we had was processing times, but I think you handled that one. Another one I have here is, what license is required in order to do this? And do you require E&O?
Beautiful question. So it would be a health license. This is filed as a health product, and we do require E&O. So Assurity does require E&O for all of our advisors.
Perfect. Well, Jeff, I think you handled it. I appreciate it very, very much. I think that this is a great opportunity and a really nice descriptive of why people need to stop overlooking this product. So that being said, if anyone has additional questions, please feel free to give Brad or I a call here at Premier. And at that, I want to thank you for taking the time. And Jeff, you have yourself a great weekend.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye, guys.